So last week we heard the story of Hannah, who had that longing, that desire to have a child. And of course we know she gave birth to Samuel, who became the great prophet. And then we also heard the story of Mary and Joseph, who sought out Jesus in the temple. And this week we have the Magi searching as well. Where's the newborn King of the Jews, they say. You know, theirs is a very similar kind of hunger, a similar longing. Like Hannah and Mary too, they know what it is, rather who it is that will satisfy their hunger. Do you? Do you know who will satisfy your hunger? This past week, I went back to the gym. I had been going to the gym before the holidays. The doctor let me go, and after getting done physical therapy, kind of got the stamp bill of health. Go do your thing now. You're free to go. And didn't have much to do over the holidays, so I wanted to take it easy and just kind of relax. And I don't do too much over the holidays, just kind of sit around. And I figured I'm going to take it easy and not go to the gym for a couple of weeks. Besides, I don't have any time. So I went back this week after the holidays, of course, and got to get back to the gym. And when I went, of course, there were all kinds of new faces there, people I had never seen before. And it's like that at the beginning of the year, People, they want to make their New Year's resolutions, and one of them is get back in shape. And so anybody like that head to the gym? Did you start back to the gym this past week? Maybe even for the first time? People do that. And I overheard a woman saying to one of the trainers, she said, the cynical types, I can't stand them. They're the ones that are always complaining about people going to the gym in January. At least they're trying to make themselves better. She's right. She's right. She was right. We scoff at people sometimes. We scoff at people who do things, especially New Year's resolution kind of things, to make their lives better. We deem their efforts to be unrealistic and unrealistic goals. I think we need to give those folks more credit for embracing that hunger, that longing, that deep desire that really, in truth, every one of us has, don't we? Don't we all have a longing, a hunger to be better, to be who God really made us to be? We do. We have that. No matter which way you slice it, at the end of the day, we're all really trying to make our lives better. We want to be healthier. We want to be more organized. We want to be frugal. Some people want to be adventurous. Other people want to be more disciplined. Whatever it is that you want and that you long for and you hunger for, the desire, it's really a craving to be better. And maybe even to go further, to say, there's something inside of us that's hungering to be good. And maybe even further than that, to be like God. Well, why is that? And although many people have many different reasons for answers and opinions about it, for us who are Christian, it's because, frankly, we were all designed by God. God designed every one of us as a creator who made us to be like him. A creator who embodies everything that is good and true and noble and holy and beautiful and pure. Countless theologians over the years have pointed out that since we have been designed by God, it would make sense that he would give to each one of us, he would place within each one of us a hunger to be like him. Isaiah, in the first reading, he's calling out to the people of Jerusalem, and this is what he says: "You shall be radiant at what you see. Your heart will throb and overflow. For the riches of the sea will be emptied out before you. The wealth of the nations shall be brought to you." And they're great words, so encouraging. A promise that God gives to us. The wealth of the nations is going to be yours. It's yours. And the riches of the sea will be given to you. And when you receive those things, your heart's going to just throb with joy. That sense of excitement that we have when we receive all those great gifts and riches. But here's the challenge. Anytime we move in that direction, move towards that longing to fulfill that longing, that desire to become more like God, anytime we try to be more like who God made us to be, anytime we try to be good, we're always going to come up against the exact same thing that the Magi had to endure. And when King Herod heard this, Matthew tells us, he was greatly troubled, and all Jerusalem with him. There's a lot of people in this world who are going to set up all kinds of roadblocks because of their own selfish, Herod-like desires. Like Herod, they're really just tourists working their way through life, seeking whatever pleasure they can fulfill, their desire only to be entertained. You know, tourists. You ever gone on a trip? Especially go to a place where there's going to be a lot of tourists. People pushing their way through and really kind of just thinking only about themselves, the desire to be entertained, and of course, the desire for pleasure. And anybody who gets in their way, watch out. So when we try to be good, when we try to do good, there's going to be someone who's acting like a tourist who's going to say, "You're in my way, move." Because when pleasure and entertainment or football or food is our first thought, the first thing that motivates our actions, at the expense of what truly brings goodness, real goodness, like faith, community, prayer, fellowship, trouble is not going to be very far behind for everyone. And the trouble comes first from the realization that all too often we do not know what's best for us. And we're going to seek the path of least resistance. I'll talk more about that next week. Secondly, in order to become better, in order to find out what will satisfy us, we must, follow the star. In other words, be obedient. We must be willing to be pilgrims, always moving towards the star. As I was kind of finishing up my reflections and preparation yesterday morning for this message, and sitting here in church, I was thinking to myself, gee, I ought to get Lisa to get 2 great big huge stars, one for each door, so that I could say, you got to go to the star, always move towards the star, especially at the end of Mass, when Mass is over. Move towards the star. I decided I better not do that. True goodness, authentic godliness, it comes when we accept and start to apply this idea, moving towards the star, seeking the star, being obedient, when we begin to apply this to our lives. And it means learning to offer God control over all aspects of our lives, especially those parts of our lives where we say, no, I don't want you having any control over that. And all of us have a little something that we say, before Mass, there's a dish of cookies over there on the counter in the cafe. And there's nobody who's going to tell me not to take one of those cookies and shove it down my throat. No one is going to tell me not to do that. Right? I need to ask God to take control over that part of my life. What about you? What part of your life do you need God to take control over that you don't want him to? Because even with our best intentions, trying our hardest to get things right on our own, without God's help and direction, ain't going to happen. It's just not. We're just going to be spinning out of control time and time again. The Christian author, great author, C.S. Lewis, put it this way about this dilemma. No man knows how bad he is till he tries very hard to be good. Yeah. That's when you'll find out. That's when you'll know. The Magi knew. They knew what they were up against. They knew very well. And that's why they were willing to follow the star. Even though they had no idea where they were going, they had to ask directions. They didn't know where they were going. They just were following the star. Well, where is it leading? I don't know. Let's ask. Find out where it's going, where it's going to take us. And they made that journey as pilgrims. And because they followed the star, they found what they were looking for. They found what they were longing for. They found what was their deep desire, that hunger that they had. And the gospel tells us they did him homage. They knew that he was more than just a king. Their gifts prove it. Their pilgrimage, bringing gifts of gold and frankincense and myrrh, tells us of their desire to really know who this child would be for them and for us and for the entire world, and that he deserved a star to announce his birth. Wow. So as we begin this new year, rather than trying to make the journey as a tourist for your own pleasures and selfish desires, consider fulfilling the hunger that every one of us has, that longing, that deep desire, what's really in your heart. Fulfill it as a pilgrim. Seek the star. Follow the star. Dig into that. Set your goals higher. Pray bigger prayers. Make the choice to really believe that if God made you, and he did, he knows what's best for you. And get curious about why he created you to be who you are. Ask him. I love this line. I heard this some time ago, and I just love it. I'm going to start using it a lot because it's a great line. Ask him to wreck your plans. And don't we all make plans for all different kinds of things? Wreck them, God, and replace them with his. Because he's going to show you what you need. He's going to show you the way. If you come to him with a willingness to be obedient to his directions, he's going to improve your life more than you could ever try to improve it on your own. All kinds of opportunities for that right here in the parish. I think one of the best ones is our adult small groups that are going to be starting up again soon. Within a couple of weeks, we'll be starting them up again. That's a great means to learn how God can do his work in your life. Be a pilgrim. Follow the star. And if you have to ask for directions, ask. But remember this, you just might run into some troublesome tourists. The Magi did. And that's why Matthew warned them in a dream. That's why God warned them in a dream not to return to Herod. And they departed for their own country by another way. It's because they found what they sought. Their hunger was satisfied. What about yours? What about your hunger? Are you going to satisfy it as a tourist, never really having it satisfied? Are you going to be a pilgrim like the Magi, knowing exactly not just what, but who will satisfy that hunger?